Hi everyone. Just gonna talk you through a bit of information around September and what we're expecting of you and how that will look as we go forward. It's fairly long. It's going to take maybe 5-10 minutes to get through. Quite a bit of information, and we will be making this available to you on the school website for you to refer back to. Okay, so the plan is to cover all of the following. We need to look at how you're going to arrive to school, your travel. We need to look at what school will look like in the building and the restrictions, mostly around movement and maintaining social distance. What to do if you think that you've got any symptoms, whether that's you feel unwell at school or you need to contact us to let us know. Break and lunch arrangements, which is kind of part of moving around the school, any continuation of home learning, and the rules around behaviour and expectations in school. So the biggest changes, as you can see highlighted in red, is that you'll be in a separate area for the school of the whole day. That for us will come into more information later. It will be on floor 2, science corridor. You'll also notice down there in red that from September you will be expected in a slightly later time. This is to allow everybody to transition and arrive and maintain the most social distancing that we can. Finally, by the end of this, what I really need you to be aware of is that you have to 100% compulsory complete the survey, which is in a link at the end of the slide presentation, before you will be allowed back into school. Okay, September is going to look very different, and in order for us to learn the new procedures, learn the new protocols, we've got this staggered start. Everybody was going to be on Monday the 7th, but in order for us to learn how to move around the site, how to maintain social distancing, know where your new classrooms are, know which toilets you can use, all of the logistics that I'm going to talk through over the next 4 or 5 minutes. We will be starting as Year 10 on Wednesday the 9th of September. Okay, and obviously when you arrive on Wednesday, the Year 8s will already be in school, as will the Year 11s, 12s, 13s and Year 7. Okay, so not that this particularly affects you, this is Year 7, 8 and 9, but just to make you aware, every year group will be called a bubble, and we will then be putting in place restrictions on each bubble for, as already mentioned, different areas of the school, and you'll be taken into smaller groups to minimise that movement and minimise the risk of infection across year group. Okay, so Year 10 and 11, that's you guys now. Upper school GCSE options. In order to facilitate your options and to make sure that you can do all of your subjects, you may have seen in the media about subjects being squashed or drop-in subjects. That's not going to happen at Forest Hill. We will be expecting you to move around the school, but in a limited way and in much smaller travelling distances, with the timetable that's been put in place and has been planned for you. You will therefore have the most responsibility in the school to maintain that social distance and to ensure that this planned effort to get you all of your lessons will go ahead. You can see there students taught in streamed pods for your core lessons, so English, Maths and Science will be in your streamed groups, still maintaining your sets, and then you'll move around for your option subjects. Okay, so as I said earlier, science block, science corridor will be the area that our classrooms, our tutor rooms are going to be based in, and your teachers will come and visit you for your lessons. The exceptions to that will be things like PE, practical, and DT, some art, those lessons that you need perhaps a different teaching environment to work in. Okay, your toilets there located upstairs on the 3rd floor. I think half of you have got tutor rooms on the 3rd floor temporarily to cover keeping us in as restricted space as possible. So timetable, slight difference. You'll see that we're expecting you to go straight to period 1 at 8:50. You will need to arrive at school, and I'll come on to school arrival in a minute, at 8:40 in order to give us time to line you up, to get you all into the classroom that you need to be in for period 1. We'll then have a break straight after, which seems a little bit odd, and that's again to maintain as much social distancing and to keep year groups separated, to minimise cross-contamination. So we'll kind of go through this, and it will take a bit of practice, but you'll see later that we're going to be escorting you around the school as much as possible. And the big change for you guys is that we'll do tutoring at the end of the day, so you'll get a chance to sit down, talk through any problems, any movement issues around the building, and to do your normal PSHE at the end of the day. It will also help us with directing you to any catch-up sessions or intervention sessions that we'll be running, to help you make the most of your time at school and to ensure that your GCSEs, particularly the start of them, go as smoothly as possible. Okay, so finally we get you to come back to school. You get to start your GCSEs, and you should be really excited about that. A lot of planning has gone into place to make sure that you can continue all of your courses. However, there are some really important rules around you checking on your health and alerting us about your health to ensure that we keep the whole community safe. This is really, really important and needs to be adhered to, and we're going to talk through a little bit of that as we go forward. Okay, seems fairly obvious. We should know the symptoms pretty well now. You're quite a mature bunch of lads, and you probably have been aware through the media of exactly what the symptoms are. They're on the left hand side there. If you have those symptoms, you must stay at home. This is the self-isolation phase, and your parents should contact the school to let us know. In addition, it is expected that you book in for a test as soon as possible, and the information or the link can be found there. Then once we get a result, we'll then talk about the next steps if we need to. You should also stay at home and self-isolate, and alert the school if any of the following is a problem, particularly if you've been alerted with the test and trace. You may have been contacted via a text message or an email with the NHS app to say you have been in contact with someone who has a positive coronavirus test, or you may live with someone who has symptoms who is awaiting a test result. Okay, so all of those situations there, you must let us know and stay at home. If you have been contacted, this website will tell you what to do. It will be in the presentation. You can just Google NHS track and trace, and they will let you know what to do if you've been contacted by them. Okay, something to think about over the school holidays is how you're going to get to and from school. You need to discuss this with your family. There will be I think some good positives out of this. You should be doing more walking and cycling to school. It's better for your health, and I've done promotions around this in the past, but this is kind of enforced. Public transport is going to be more problematic, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. And also because of that, in terms of everyday adults and children commuting to their place of work or school, the car drop-off is also going to be a lot busier. So you need to kind of really have a good think about how you're going to get to school. Interesting statistic, 75% of the school population live within 2 miles of the school. That's only a 40-minute walk, 10-15 minute cycle, and maybe if you fancied it, sort of a half an hour run. Okay. So if you have a bike, please use it. We're developing some safer storage areas. We're going to look at facilitating, making sure that it's easy for you to get your bikes into school. And if you are interested, please email me. Okay, I need to know, and then I can check that you've got everything you need and can perhaps make a log or help you plan how you're going to cycle to school. Okay, so please email me. Public transport. Okay, so a little bit problematic. A lot of you like to use it, but there is a big problem with the number of seats available, and obviously it increases the likelihood of you contacting with other people. You must plan ahead because there are going to be different routes in place, there's going to be different timings in place, and that ultimately could affect your timing of arrival at school. Must wear your face mask, okay, and as a school we won't be letting you on the bus after school without a face mask. And if you need any more information about public transport, there's a video in the link just down on the bottom on the left hand side. Please remember also, if you're going to be using face masks for public transport, you need somewhere to keep it clean and secure so that it doesn't contaminate other things that you're touching. So bring it in a plastic bag for you to store during the school day. Okay, so arrival. I said about making sure that we're planning our travel. That's because we need to arrive at the correct time. So we're looking at 8:40 now. It's a 20-minute later start than normal, and that means that you will not be mixing with students from other year groups, and you can arrive at the correct space and maintain your social distancing outside school to help us get you into the building as quickly and as safely as possible. 8:40, we'd expect to see you at the back gate, socially distanced, spread out, and we'll be invited in to come and stand at a designated area in the back playground to await your teacher, myself or your tutor, to come and direct you to the correct part of the school to start the day. So please make sure that you line up correctly. So when you get to school, as I just said, you'll go to the correct gate, Bampton Road gate at the back, you'll line up and then taken to your classroom. We're going to feel a bit like we're babysitting you, but it is for everybody's best interests that we maintain the social distance and we do it collectively as a group, and that way we can make sure that anyone who is not following that expectation, that we can know exactly who that is and exactly when that's happening. You'll then need to sanitize using the stuff that's outside the classrooms, and then you'll need to get into your designated seat and you'll need to remain there for the lesson, and that will be your seat for the day. Okay. This is kind of the most talked about thing, is maintaining that distance, social distance. Please get it into your head that you'll need to be spread out at all times and following instructions. You'll only be allowed to enter the site when you're told to do so. Okay, so please also be considerate of other people. Some of the paths are a bit small, but hopefully if everybody does their part, then it will be nice and safe for everyone. Break time, you'll be asked to sanitize your hands as you leave the classroom. You'll be escorted down to the area that's designated for you, and you'll then be able to eat, drink in your social space, and you'll need to maintain social distancing. Again, at the end of break time, you'll be lined up in your group and taken back to your base, where you'll then be asked to sanitize your hands before we start lessons again. Lower school break time there. So upper school break time, you guys can see there, depending on your new house name, something that we'll talk about in a minute. Fusu Asari and Turing House will use the back playground snack shack. Parks and Toll houses will use the middle playground snack shack. You won't be able to use the cage because it may be used for PE lessons where we've got the offset timetable. There might be some lessons going on, so you won't be able to go in the cage. Then we'll bring you back into school, again, similarly as we've already seen. Lunchtime, same situation. You'll be asked to sanitize your hands and you'll be escorted down to the correct area. You'll need to maintain your social distance through lunch, so your ball games and stuff will not be taking place. It's just going to be kind of a fresh air break, and then you'll need to sanitize at the end of lunchtime when you get back up to the room. Upper school, year 10s, you'll be in the middle and back playgrounds, the same as break time. Okay. You'll be interested to know that there's a new catering company who will be delivering a new menu throughout the year, and that will start with a slightly different offer due to the situation. School lunch is there, you can see £2.42 and a weekly cost of £12.10. Same system, parent pay, no cash. Okay. So you can see the menu there. I think this will get sent out separately because it's a bit small, but you've got a break and a deli and a main option, different things during the day. Okay, and there's week 2, what it will look like as you come back to school. So just kind of quickly go over those so you can have a look. Oh, and a week 3. So dismissal at the end of the day, really important that you follow the rules again. Those that are taking the bus will follow the protocols and line up as instructed. Those who are walking continue to maintain social distance and go straight home. There won't be socialising, kicking a ball around in school, hanging around in the playground. You'll be asked to leave at the end of the school day promptly and safely. At the bus stop, you must have a face mask, and as I said earlier, companies are limiting numbers on the bus, so therefore it is best if you walk or cycle, otherwise you'll be hanging around a lot waiting for a lot of buses. And the same on trying to get to school, you'll be competing for seats with other members of the public, and that's going to add to the likelihood of you being late to school. So something that we were doing earlier this year is rebranding the Forest Hill House system. So if you couldn't remember, the Drake House is a Fusu Asari house, which is coded with an O. Harvey House has become Turing House, which is coded A. Reynolds House is now Parks House, which is coded P. And Shackleton House is Tull House, coded T. Just a little overview. Kwame Afusu Asari was a student at school, and he had a huge passion for sport and the arts, represented school, athletics and football, and there is an award nominated in his name at graduation at the end of year 11. Alan Turing, a mathematician, generally understood to be very influential in the coding or cracking of codes during World War II. And it was also arrested and chemically castrated as a punishment for his homosexuality. He was pardoned after his death by the Queen. Rosa Parks, civil rights activist. She was famous for refusing to stand up on a bus to allow a white person to sit down, and it then led to the segregation and prejudice being stopped on buses. She was influential in that, and she stood up to what she believed. Finally, Walter Tull was a professional footballer and gave up his career in football to help out in the war, and became recognised as the first black officer to lead white soldiers into battle. So just a little bit of an overview of those. Finally, temporary rooms. So as I said, that you'll be on the science half of the building, so that's floor 2 and floor 3. You can see there your new room numbers. This will all be advertised on the doors as you come into school, and you'll be reminded and met by your tutors on that first day on September the 9th. So we've had to make some additions to school rules. Your referral and reflection rooms will work differently. We won't have a reflection room, it won't be possible. However, we will be looking to possibly do some sort of referral room. We need to maintain behaviour. So, ready, respectful and safe are our themes and ethos, and the new rules are shown in red. So, social distancing, being ready to learn. Equipment is part of that. Down the bottom there, we can't be sharing equipment. You can't be asking to borrow a friend's pen, asking to borrow one from the teacher. And if there are online sessions, which I know you've done some of this term, then code of conduct for that must be followed. Respectful of everybody's space and the environment, so respecting the 1 meter distance, and to go straight home at the end of the day. Social distancing and limiting contact with others, ideally walking or cycling. And to be safe, you need to sanitize at all times. You need to follow the government stay-at-home instructions if you have any symptoms, and you need to make sure that your uniform is washed regularly, as it can be transmitted on fabrics. You must not make physical contact with any member of the school community. And as I kind of alluded to, there is no reflection room. Referral room is going to be very difficult to manage. We're not even sure if it's going to be possible, so you will be more than likely asked to stay at home. There will be more fixed term exclusions, because we have to maintain the safety of all members of our community. Little hygiene reminder, please wash your hands properly. As I think we've mentioned already or about to mention, water fountains are not in use, so that's to do with your equipment. We must make sure that we look at maintaining our cleanliness at all times. If you're showing symptoms during the day, you feel unwell, you suddenly developed a cough, or you perhaps didn't smell or taste your lunch like you normally would, then please tell a member of staff immediately and they will give you instructions on what to do. So I've alluded to this. If somebody doesn't follow the rules, then in all likelihood you will be asked to leave the group, and you'll be asked to probably go home to ensure that everybody can maintain safe and everyone can learn effectively. Equipment, we just talked about it. Water bottles, you must bring enough water, not sugary drinks or frozen drinks. You must have your own equipment, and you must have your books for the day, and plenty of tissues to catch any coughs or sneezes. You cannot be sharing equipment. We cannot stress this enough. This one's fairly self-explanatory. You are in school, and if you're not, then we will be following the protocols that we've done this term. We will be setting work predominantly on Show My Homework, but with additional video lessons or live sessions. You'll need to email teachers if you're not sure about anything specifically, or if you need to, contact me and I can speak to your teachers on your behalf. If you do have any questions, there's my email address. Please do ask me any questions, and we can kind of get back to you as soon as possible over the holidays. We do want to say a massive thank you to the site team who have already got everything ready and running for current year 10s and 12s, and they're making life much easier for you so that you can come back to school. So please, when you're in school, do say thank you as you pass them, and you'll see a lot more of them about during the day to maintain the standards that they've set up. At the start of this little briefing, I asked you to make sure that you paid attention, but also to complete the survey. That is the link for the survey. This must be done so that we can gather the information and allow everybody back into school. Please make sure that you do that. Finally, from me, is to have a nice summer as best as you possibly can. Please try and keep your brains engaged. If you didn't get all of your Show My Homework work done, have a crack at it. Be ready for September, and have a nice rest. Cheers.